Hello everybody from Vittorio. I'm alone. I locked the door so Alistair couldn't get up. So I'm solo today. And this is gonna be a particular podcast. I hope you see it on YouTube because it took me a while to do all the graphic. So, check it out on YouTube as well. But we ask Serie A expert their prediction for this year, final result of Serie A. So it's gonna be a particular podcast compared to the past. Yeah, there's even Alistair prediction. I know he's not a Serie A expert, but he wanted to do it, so I had to be polite and allow him to do it. So this is the prediction of our friend Serie A experts, and you could reply and telling us what's your prediction for this Serie A season and how, in particular, Lazio will finish the league. Bye, enjoy, guys.
Hi everyone, Chloe Beresford here with my Serie A predictions for the upcoming season. I think it's very difficult to look past Juventus for a 10th Scudetto in a row. They've done so well in the last 9 seasons that unless we see any real evidence to the contrary, even with a newbie Pirlo in charge, it's really difficult to look past them. They've got so much experience and so much winning mentality amongst that squad. In terms of the rest of the Champions League places, obviously Inter, I think they will finish at least second in the league. And then it gets a bit tricky. I think Atalanta will do it again, but I also fancy Milan to sneak in there. I think they've improved really well, finished last season strongly. We'll see how Pioli does, but I'm backing them to get back into the Champions League, which unfortunately means that Lazio are looking at a Europa League spot. I think their first season back in the Champions League will be pretty tough after such a long time away, and they might fall away a little bit in the league. We've also got to say Roma for Europa League. They're looking good, they've made some good signings, and they could even push for a Champions League place too. I'm going to back my team Fiorentina for the final European place. I think they've made some smart signings and I'm pretty hopeful for this season, but obviously that excludes Napoli. But I'm thinking they obviously came through a crisis last season and they could well lose Koulibaly too. It's all very difficult, but those are my choices. Let's see what happens.
So 2020-2021 predictions. You know me, I'm going to say Juve for the title. It's been 10 years of it already. A 10th Scudetto seems almost certain, doesn't it? It's hard to look beyond them with the rest of Serie A the way it is. Inter started off really well last year, but when it came to it wasn't really that close, despite the league table showing that it was at the very end. Juve won the title by 7 points, 3 games to spare. You have to say them. You would say that Inter are going to be close again, so you have to give them a place in the Champions League. Atalanta have done enough the past few seasons to warrant keeping them in that top 4. You have to see something from them to say otherwise. They've kept all their best players. Their squad still looks great. They'll be playing in their own stadium in Champions League as well, which is great. For that 4th place, for me, I think I could see Lazio in their first season of trying to balance Champions League and a push in the Serie A. I could see them slipping out of the top 4, so then you have to find a team who's going to come in. For me, I think you could look at Rome. Maybe Roma get that place. They've got continuity with Paulo Fonseca. But I think I'm going to say... No, I'll say Roma. I think, like I say, I think they have the continuity. I think if they have Milik instead of Dzeko, I think that actually makes them better. So Roma in 4th, then 5, 6, 7, because you have to imagine the 3rd Europa League place from the Coppa Italia will come back to the league. So I would say Lazio will be there because they will narrowly miss out on Champions League. I think Milan, you have to include in there. I think they've had an excellent summer. Getting Tonali is a great coup for them, and that looks to improve them enough to get back into Europe and push closer to Champions League, but not quite be good enough to get the top 4. And then I think for the 7th place, I kind of see Fiorentina sneaking in there, probably at the expense of Napoli. I think that might be close, but I think you have to imagine that over the course of a full season, one of that top 7 is going to slip. And for me, if they lose Milik on top of the other players that they've lost, somehow their defence got weaker despite replacing Albiol with Manolas, which should have been an upgrade. I think I'd tip Napoli to slip out and Fiorentina to just do enough to sneak in. They have the money with Rocco Commisso. They have a good squad. They've got good depth now in midfield, and they've kept their excellent defence all together as well. So yeah, for me, Fiorentina in 7th.
What's up, Lazio Lounge? Rocco Fasano here, Catenaccio NA on Twitter. Here to give you my top 5 predictions for Serie A this year. So, right off the bat, I'll give you some good news and then some bad news. Good news, the other team from Rome, which shall remain nameless, will not make the top 5 in Serie A this year. 5th place, however, and here's the bad news perhaps, is that Lazio will finish in 5th according to me. Why? Well, Lazio has been kind of going on alternative current in the last 4 or 5 years. One good year followed by a not so great year. Last year, Lazio had a great year, a great season, and unfortunately, because of COVID, they did not win the Scudetto, in my view. This year, they are not going to follow up with a Champions League finish, but they'll still have a decent season. 4th place, Napoli. Napoli, I see as a team that has finally absorbed Gattuso's understanding of football, still being aggressive, yet cautious, and at the same time will also have great production up front, especially with their brand new acquisition, Osimhen. Another team that that a lot of pundits are forgetting about is Atalanta. I don't see them anywhere in the top 4 or 5 or even 6th. Everyone's forgetting about Atalanta. Atalanta is still ticking. They're still that tough team, that physical team, that high-scoring team that they were a few months ago. I don't see any reason why this should stop. So Atalanta in 3rd place according to me. 2nd place, and here's going to be a bit of a surprise, the Bianconeri YYZ leadership member here actually making the prediction that his own team is not going to win the Scudetto. That's right. I think in the end, the fact that Pirlo is not as experienced and the fact that we are going through a bit of a rebuilding phase, doing a little bit of rejuvenation, Juventus, I think that's going to end up costing us in the long run. Inter, on the other hand, is going to be benefiting from all of this since they invested in some solid veterans, such as Kolarov, former Lazio, by the way, whose hot left foot I'm sure they will benefit from in direct free kicks. Vidal is slated to join. Hakimi, the effervescent Hakimi, on the right is going to do great for in a 3-5-2 under Conte. So there you have it. There are my top 5 for Serie A this year. Enjoy the season, guys.
Ciao guys, it's Carlo Garganese here from the Italian Football Podcast, and here are my predictions for Serie A this season. I'm going to go 1st, Juve, 2nd, Inter, 3rd, Napoli, 4th, just about, Milan, then I'm going to go 5th, Atalanta, and sorry Lazio fans, I'm going to go 6th, Lazio. But I can tell you though that I spoke to Sven-Göran Eriksson yesterday, and he's predicted Lazio are going to win the Scudetto. So listen to Sven, don't listen to me. Ciao.
Hi guys, Alistair McKenzie here. I think that this year's Serie A is actually really hard to call. I've had quite a hard time trying to come up with predictions this time. I expect at the top of the table, to be honest, that we're going to see another kind of battle between Inter and Juve. And this time, I'm actually backing Inter to do the job and get it over the line. I think with Conte in his 2nd season, his players more on board with his methods, his squad being more suited to the way he wants them to play, and then adding into the mix the Andrea Pirlo kind of mystery of what he's going to be like as a coach, how that team's going to play. I think Juventus have every chance of getting a 10th straight title, but I want to be a bit different, so I'm going to tip Inter to actually end that run at 9 in a row. Below that is where I think it gets really difficult. I do expect Atalanta to get back in the Champions League, so I've gone for them at 3rd place. kept that squad together. Obviously got Gasperini there. They're more experienced now in terms of having gone through a Champions League season and worked out how to play in both competitions to a very good level, it has to be said. So I have absolutely no doubt about Atalanta at this point, to be honest. I've learnt my lesson after last year where I tipped them to fall down to, I think, 6th or 7th place. I think that they're going to stay up exactly where they are. And you'll be happy to hear, I'm sure, I've changed my mind about Lazio. I'm going for 4th place with Lazio now. And the reason for this is I'm not totally over the moon with how things are progressing with Lazio so far this season, but I do think they're in a better position than their rivals. I'm not buying into the Milan revolution because there seems to be one being tipped every year. I don't back Stefano Pioli to keep this up through course of the season. I think a lot of the excitement around them at the moment is based on the way they finished last season. Whether they can keep that up through the course of a full season, I'm not so sure. Roma, I also think, might have quite a difficult year. I'm not totally convinced by the squad they've put together. And then for me, Napoli are quite an interesting prospect because they've obviously brought in a completely new strike force with Petagna and Osimhen, and it's a bit of a mystery how they're going to perform too. So the way I've ended up putting this is the Lazio go into 4th place. I would say there's an asterisk beside that because I think that that's going to be far more possible if they do manage to bring in a couple more signings, which they should before the end of the window. And then below that, I'm going with Napoli in 5th place and Milan in 6th place, Roma down in 7th. I don't think there's that much between those 4 teams though, so we're going to have to wait and see. It's going to be a good season, but why not let's start it optimistically.
Ciao ragazzi, Frank Crivello here from Serie A Sit Down, providing you with who I think wins the Scudetto, top 6. I'll even throw in a 7th. But I think Juventus are going to win this again, making it 10 in a row, and I think they're going to win it by anywhere from 8 to 10 points. Andrea Pirlo is going to add a personality to this team that they have not had in a couple of seasons. The dynamism of Kulusevski in an attacking position, the midfield of Arthur and McKennie are an improvement from what they had last year. Really like how Juve are trending, and I think they're going to get it done again. Second is going to be Atalanta. They've stayed intact. Castagne's gone, yes. But they bring in Alexei Miranchuk, just another stellar playmaker that's going to create chances. Really like what they're doing there. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid on Inter that everybody else is. I think they're going to finish 3rd. The defending worries me, especially when you're trying to bring in a player like Alexander Kolarov who just can't defend anymore. I think that they're going to concede some chances, and as good as Samir Handanovic is, I think there's going to be issues. Now, on the flip side, I think Romelu Lukaku is going to be capocannoniere, so we'll see what happens. I think Inter are going to have a lot of exciting games this year, but I think they're going to finish 3rd. 4th for me, Milan. Been amazing since the restart, the best team since the restart, and they're just going to continue to trend upward with Ibrahimovic leading the way, coming back. You've got Sandro Tonali now in the mix. They need another center back. Talks are already started with Nikola Milenkovic. Let's see if that happens. But that's the only area of concern for me. There's a lack of depth at that position that might keep them from going top 3. But I'd love them to finish 4th and return to the Champions League with the squad they've got. Lazio, for me, is going to finish 5th. They showed that with the lack of depth that they had, playing every 3 days is a big challenge, and now they're going to do this with Champions League matchups. Going to be hard for them. Going to be hard for them to finish top 4 again. Mariki is going to provide them some help up front. Escalante is a decent midfielder to provide some depth. But overall, I think that this is going to be an issue for them. And then 6th, I'm going Napoli. Osimhen better be Lukaku, better be Zapata, and I'm not sure that he is. And I also think Koulibaly is leaving before this window shuts, which is going to provide some challenges for the Partenopei. As a bonus, I've got Sassuolo 7th. Love the fact that they've remained intact, and the addition of Chiriches and Ayhan to help that defense is an improvement over what they've had in the past. So that's my top 7. Looking forward to a great season, and then looking forward to interacting with all of you. Ciao.
Hi Alistair, hi Vittorio, and everyone over at Lazio Lounge podcast. This is Nimatore Leruzzari from Semprinter.com and the Italian Football Podcast. I'm grateful that you invited me to give you my Serie A predictions, although I think it's very difficult to do it before the Mercato closes, because I think quite a bit of business will still be done. But based on how things stand today, September 18th, I think Juventus will win. I think Napoli will finish 2nd, Atalanta 3rd, Inter 4th, Lazio 5th, Milan 6th. I think Cristiano Ronaldo will become capocannoniere, and I think Juventus will win the Coppa Italia and the Supercoppa Italiana. Ciao.